This meeting is being recorded.
Morning, all.
Sarah B.
Hi. Is everybody staying warm?
Working on it.
Roy, what's the temp up by you?
So we are, it started at the weekend is going into the weekend. It was like 20s and then wind chills in like the teens and then single digits. And then, well, Chicago proper, with a lot of that wind probably was even a little colder. So, but then, yesterday, I don't know if the high was like, I think 11 degrees or something. So today we started off at like 3, but wind chills were like minus 20 or something. But then it's supposed to get up to like the mid 20s for the normal temperature this afternoon. And then tomorrow, but then I think it's going to we're just going to be kind of in this cold snap through the rest of the week. But I was hearing this morning, I think it might have been more like Springfield area, maybe further south of or different from you guys, but there was like an earthquake registered or something.
Yeah, I heard that too. I did not, I'm in Springfield and didn't feel it, but I don't know. Michelle,
Okay,
you're
yeah, I couldn't
in
remember if you were
Springfield too, aren't you?
Bloomington or Springfield.
Yeah, well, I worked in Bloomington with ICU, but
Yeah,
I think it was in Taylorville. I don't know if
I mean,
Debbie, did you feel it in Decatur? I don't know if any of you all Central Illinoisans felt it. I did not. But
yeah, I
earthquake
mean,
and cold weather is not, I don't think that we need to be mixing those.
but we don't need all the, weather apocalypse that's happening here.
No, thank
But
you.
and they did say like no injuries or no damage to property was reported. So it was on WGN radio. So I didn't hear exactly what they said, whatever on the Richter scale. Like, I don't know how,
Yeah.
if it would have been felt by a lot of households, but geologically, I guess they said they did detect one. So
Huh. No,
just
thanks for
glad
that.
everyone's okay.
Yeah, really. Gina, are you able to share the PowerPoint today, or Kelly? Go ahead and get started.
Yes, I am. Sorry. My computer was not sure about it, but just decided to cooperate.
Oh, awesome. I get it. Tuesday back.
All right. Are you seeing it?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, all. So I know we're only 2 minutes after, and there's going to be some people joining, but we have a lot to get through today. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do welcome goals for today. That's what we're doing right now. We'll go quickly over if you all have any more feedback to the pre-screening. And then a real quick overview of customer-centered service delivery strategy and how the state kind of got to where we are. And then Gina Wells is going to take over and really dive deeper into how career planners will be supported and how you all will be supported, and then wrap up to how we're going to get there and go with, and then we'll talk about next week's topic. So if you want to go ahead and get to the next slide, Gina, I'll just do a quick roll call-ish. Robert Trapp, I see you're on the call. I know Joel couldn't join today. Tina, Rosa, Nicole, or Cassie, are you on from 7? Let me see. Cassie,
Yes.
Rosa, Tina. Okay, awesome.
Good
Lisa.
morning.
Morning. Is
Good
Lisa
morning.
on?
This is Amy. I'm also on from 7 too.
Oh, hey, Amy.
And Lisa's on from 10 and
Oh.
11.
Awesome. Tori? Don't see you. Okay. Sandy and Haley? I see Haley. Okay, perfect. And then Robert Engel. Yep.
Yep, I'm here.
Awesome. All right, we can go ahead and get to the next slide. All right, this is just a placeholder. I know we had some issues with the teams, which Kelly is figuring out today, but does anyone else have feedback to the pre-screen? Okay, we can go ahead and keep it moving then. All right, so we had some questions last week that really made me and our internal team, so Kelly and Gina, pause, and we wanted to go over quickly why we're doing customer-centered design in a non-talking heads version, and then also kind of the path we took to get here. I'm going to go over it quickly, but if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. So customer-centered service delivery is really what we're looking at for the future and now. So our new approach puts customers first and ensures authentic engagement and personal planning. I think last time we talked about moving from checklists to personal engagement and relationships. And IWDS is just the technology, and customer-centered design is the service standard now. Go to the next slide, Gina. I'm going to go over these quickly, but you'll get these slides. So the key elements of customer-centered approach that you'll get to know through our time together are individualized services, treating people with respect and dignity, empowerment and choice, collaboration and partnership with all of our partners, strength-based approach, holistic support, and continuous improvement. So at the bottom in this yellow box, we design and deliver services around a person's goals and experiences and needs, not around programs, checklists, and compliance steps. So that's something we have to keep in mind as we move forward. Okay, so we had some questions last week. That's what these next couple slides are going to get into. It's how did we design 2.0 to be customer-centered? And really, it's built, the whole system, the customer flow was built with the customer in mind. We focused on what the system would feel like for someone using it for the first time. And our goal was to make the process clearer, easier, and more supportive for customers. So the through line for all of this work. We have state, and a lot of you are, or all of you now are on our local discovery team that looked at the entire customer journey, not just the individual screens that you're gonna review. And from each point of the system, we asked what makes sense at this point, what feels confusing or overwhelming to the customer, and what does someone really need to know right now? And if you go to the next slide, Gina, this is how we did it. We broke everything apart. We looked at all of the questions and then we put everything back together. So we reordered the steps and the flow to feel more natural for a customer. We moved questions to better moments in the process, depending on their goals and what they're putting into the system. We removed or revised questions that didn't have a clear purpose. And then we ensured that the entire system met federal policies. I know that compliance is a big question, and we did ensure that all the compliance measures have been accounted for. We kept questions that helped customers move forward without barriers, and staff better provide support for customers. And we kept anything that ensured necessary data was captured and someone could report on it. So what this looks like for customers are clear steps and expectations, fewer repeated and unnecessary questions, which I know has been a through line of feedback from our current system, supports and aligns with customer goals, and a system that feels respectful of their time and situation. Okay, so this is going to be new. We're going to go through this together and it's going to be scary at times. But when you have questions or concerns about something that's new or different from your local area, we want you to keep in mind, what does this look like from the customer's point of view? How will this help them move forward right now? And how is this information useful at this stage? Does it reduce confusion or stress for the customer? So things will be new, but if we can continue anchoring things in a customer's viewpoint, which I know is going to be easier for some than others, but I think will help us really stay grounded throughout this process.
Well, and I think something that we're hearing too, Sarah, is that the new design of IWDS 2.0 frees career planners and case managers up to do the kind of work that usually got them into the role to begin with, so that the system is also supporting that relational type of work rather than fighting against that relational type of work.
Yep. Thanks, Gina. Okay. Can we move on to the next slide? Okay. Gina's going to go ahead and cover this portion of the agenda.
All right, I'm gonna walk us through. I feel like anytime when we're talking about IWDS and we're talking about the customer journey and that the redesigned IWDS 2.0 supports a customer journey, then the next question is, well, what do we mean when we're talking about a customer journey? So we've tried to kind of lay out what that looks like. This is a very dense slide, so I'm going to kind of orient us to it. And then we're going to break it apart phase by phase and look at it in a little bit of a closer look at each of these phases. But the customer journey map is designed around like a pretty standard way of thinking about someone who's going to choose a service or choose a product and sort of the emotions and thought process they go through to do that. So it starts with the awareness phase, which is when a customer recognizes that they have a problem or a pain point or a need and starts doing some research into how they can solve that problem. So for a customer of an American Job Center or of the workforce system, this is, I need a job. This is, my job is not working for me. This is, I need more money. This is, I might lose my benefits if I don't participate in workforce development services. You know, that like sort of recognition of a need and starting to become aware of services that are available to them. Once they're aware of services, now they're in this consideration phase. Okay, which of these services or options for me is the best one? Am I going to try to get a job on my own? Am I going to the community college? Am I going to see what the American Job Center can provide for me? Am I thinking about participating in WIOA? They're in this consideration phase. The commitment phase for us, for you all, is I'm going to participate in WIOA Title I services, this WIOA Title I service that I'm eligible for. So yes, sign me up. I'm going to participate in the WIOA adult program, or sign me up. I'm a young person. I want to participate in the youth program. That's that commitment phase. The goal setting and service selection phase is, okay, I've agreed to sign up. What services am I going to get? How am I going to know that it's meeting my needs? What are my goals? This fifth stage is the actual participating in services. So now I'm going to my training class. Now I'm participating in workshops. I'm meeting with my career planner. I'm participating in those services. I'm getting access to the supportive services that help me address my transportation problem, those things. Then this last phase, service completion and advocacy, is the final phase. So I'm wrapping up my services. No customers thinking about exiting anything, right? But they're thinking about, okay, I finished my class, I got my job, I'm out on the hunt now. I'm wrapping up my time with my career planner and hopefully moving into this advocacy phase where they were satisfied with the services they got. They felt helpful. And now they're, through word of mouth or other sources, they're telling their friends, their coworkers, people in their community, hey, you might want to go to the American Job Center. You might want to check out WIOA services. They were really helpful to me. So that's sort of the customer journey map. And now what we've done is layered across that arc and sort of universal journey. What is the actual ways they're interacting with American Job Centers, with IWDS 2.0, with career planners, and where are they taking action on their own? So the key thing that you'll see here throughout the next couple of slides is each of these little dots is a step on the journey. They're not always linear, but they're a step on the journey. Where you see a red dot is where the customer is directly able to interact with IWDS 2.0. So they can directly enter data into or otherwise interact with the system. Where you see a green dot is where they are required by policy to meet with a career planner or interact with a career planner, or the career planner is entering data into IWDS on their behalf. And when you see these other dots that are sort of in the blue family or the taupe family, they're taking action on their own, right? They're acting based on what's next for them in their plan. Does that make sense in terms of an orientation to this graphic? Does anyone have a question about sort of how we're going to use this? Okay, I'm going to keep going, but I would love to hear from you at any point. So don't hesitate to interrupt. So in the awareness phase, there isn't a whole lot of training we need to do here. Become aware of your services in many different ways, as you know. One thing that you should know is, as part of the IWDS 2.0 system, there is going to be a new opportunity for awareness, which is going to be a welcome page that's on workNet that will bring customers into the IWDS system. This is the welcome page is outside the system, but it's going to be a pathway in for them. That's the big piece that we want you to be aware of in this phase here. In the consideration phase, okay, the customers are aware of us. How do we share useful information and build trust? And here is where, in a change from what happens now, there are several points where the customer can directly interact with IWDS 2.0, or they can receive support and they can have like a supported interaction directly with IWDS 2.0, or a career planner or other front desk type person could do it for them. There's sort of three ways that they can move through this consideration phase. So they can complete this short form on the workNet welcome page, which will trigger a link to IWDS 2.0 to be sent to their email that will give them access into IWDS. They can follow that link and complete pre-screening questions, which you all have been working on as part of your Thursday development activities. These pre-screening questions are designed to gather only, as Sarah was saying, only the most necessary information, the least amount of information that allows career planners and others in the system to A, figure out what their needs and strengths are, B, start addressing any barriers that they have right away if possible, and C, gather the information needed to figure out whether they're potentially eligible for WIOA services. After they complete the pre-screening questions, then they can complete the application. At the end of pre-screening, the system will automatically signal to career planners like, oh, this person seems like they're probably eligible for, and it will list the programs that they're probably eligible for. And then they can complete the application and upload their eligibility documents. And I think there's going to be an orientation video for them to watch. Ooh, getting clapping from David. And a hand raise. What's up, David?
Yeah, the clap was a mistake, but happy Tuesday to everybody. I see there's a typo there under 04, requirements with a Y on the end there.
Oh yeah, you are seeing this. This is like hot off the press. Like I just finished this. You're seeing it for the first time. So it's not ready for prime time. And I'm sure you're going to see a few typos. So thank you.
How come I'm not seeing that list then? You got something else you showing us online right now, or what? This
You
is
see a
Robert.
slide that says consideration?
No.
Oh, you know what, Robert? You might not be.
I was in the meeting and I see Gina air screen. Oh, okay. Now I see it. Okay.
Oh man, Robert, you missed this complex
No, I
document.
was on there. I was listening to
Oh,
it. I'm like, but the thing is, I was like, man, she's saying different color. They can see green. I'm like, how come I'm not seeing this? I'm like, okay, let me just keep on listening. So, okay. So you did mention something about the green dots will be sent to like the career advisors and stuff for them to interact with them.
Yeah.
So how did this thing get developed in a way where the customers is doing this thing? When does it notify them? Is this certain documentation or is this certain question the system would ask them and say, okay, not how you answer it this way. You now got to go see somebody in the office. Is that correct?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will show you in our next slide. I'll show you exactly what happens,
Okay.
or I'll describe to you close to what happens, of course, because the system is still being developed, right? So
Right.
just a caveat, right? You all are participating in those Thursday calls. The plane is still being built. So everything I'm telling you is describing our best understanding of how the system works right now, but could it be tweaked a bit? It could be tweaked a bit, right? So we have to keep that openness in our minds.
Gina, there's a few questions in the chat. I just want to note quickly. So the orientation video, we're actually going to have two videos. The placement is still TBD, but one will be a general overview of WIOA, and then one will be kind of drilled down what should they expect from this process. What do they need to look for? What are their options? What do the little icons mean? So we will have a generalized overview of WIOA, and then Sandy, when they upload documents, can they sign with their full name? So yes, and Kelly, if you could note the full name DocuSign, that would be really helpful. And then Rory, yes, when these are final, you'll be able to share these with your local areas. And when we meet with the ALWIA directors, hopefully next week, we'll share this as well, so they have an understanding and a baseline to get started. Because we agree this is going to be helpful as you all begin your training and communication with your region. I think I got them all.
Yeah, but just so yes, I'm picking up on a couple of things. So, David, I super appreciated you pointing out that typo. So if any of you see anything else, just put it in the chat, so that we can continue to revise this. With that in mind, as a reminder, everything that you're seeing here today is a work in progress. So these slides are not ready for, these are for us, right? These are for our, we're family in here in the regional trainer Tuesday calls, right? So we're looking at these things together as kind of co-designers of communication products and materials that'll go out to the system, but these are not the final. So don't share them with your colleagues yet. There's going to be like a specific rollout timeline so that everybody gets the right information at the right time, with accurate, sort of as best as close to final as possible by the time we're sharing it with a broader group of people. Does that feel okay to everybody? I'm going to assume your silence is that feels okay. I'm trusting that you all will tell us if they're not okay.
Looks
Thanks,
like we
Robert.
have a lot of thumbs up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're over here. The customer is still deciding, right? So they're gathering more information, but they're also potentially themselves answering questions and interacting with the system. Again, other options are available, including the career planner asking them the questions and entering the data into IWDS 2.0 themselves. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Of course, there's, these phases are not like fixed, right? There's no like clear moment where the person is moving from consideration to decision, but we're going to sort of say that we are fading now into this commitment to participate phase. So when the customer completes the application and uploads their eligibility documents, if they choose to do that entirely on their own, they're at home or on their phone, or maybe they're sitting in the resource room, they're not with another, with someone who works for the system, they get an email telling them that they must now make an appointment with a career planner at the American Job Center. And that is going to trigger a set of steps that are over here in this commitment phase, where the policy and the system itself requires them to be meeting with a career planner, with a case manager, right? So here's where, if they haven't done it already, now they're definitely going to an AJC. They're scheduling the meeting with the career planner. Sorry, some of these words are not final, so don't get too hung up, especially about the smaller words. They're going to meet with the career planner to complete eligibility certification, right? So the career planner is going to be apply your expert knowledge, your policy expertise, working with IWDS, you're going to certify the person as eligible. And at that point, there will trigger a skills and interest survey. The skills and interest survey, which is sort of moving into kind of like the assessment phase. This is something that could be done, again, by the individual, by the customer on their own, or together with a career planner, but the customer is kind of driving the screens, or the career planner can do it in sort of an interview fashion and then enter the data in. Questions about, all right, I see a question from David. At some point, will local areas be able to market advantages to using local services? Yes, I think like at any point you can be doing that, right? Like you're talking now about to your customers about the benefits of services. You're going to make sure the language is clear, referring to AJCs and partners, right? Yes, thank you, Crystal. Really good feedback there. In fact, I'm curious what you all feel would be the best language here. Is it visit an AJC or partner office, partner program? Okay, I'm trust if you have a better idea of how to say it, you'll put it in there. Yes, Cassie, the skills survey is different from the training assessment, but there is like a whole set of assessments, one of which is the training assessment. Okay, so at this point, at the end of this stage, we know that we've completed this stage of this commitment to participate because the customer has signed to indicate that they are agreeing to participate in their WIOA Title I service. Sorry, I'm seeing a few more comments.
So,
Is this language going to be in both English and Spanish? Great question, Robert. Sarah?
if you have people that you're trained, this is right now for your career planners. So if you feel like that this is going to be helpful in a different language, let us know and we'll try to get, help you in that way. And then if they're not triggered for adult, dislocated worker, or youth, the pop-up that will happen does not say like, whoops, you're not eligible. It kind of says like, you may not be eligible, or I can't remember the exact language, but it prompts them for next steps. I think one of which is still going to an American Job Center potentially. But yes, there won't be like a hard stop necessarily. It'll still give them the option to come talk to someone.
And when we train career planners on this, there'll be a whole conversation as part of the training about what does it mean to provide customer-centered services to someone where you've just assessed that they're not eligible for WIOA Title I. So what are we going to do to continue supporting them and helping them move down that pathway to meeting their needs and goals, even if WIOA Title I services are not part of that picture for them? And Sarah, I think Robert might have been asking whether IWDS 2.0, the customer-facing side, is in Spanish.
Yes, and Kelly T, we have a couple different languages that I think are options from the platform that it's on.
Okay.
Yeah, I can double check too with Olivia just to make sure. Let me find out.
Okay. And then let's see, Crystal. Oh, you were suggesting a proud partner of the American Job Center Network. Okay, great, thank you. Center or partner, great. All right, thank you. I will review all of these chats about sort of language that's most useful after our call today. So thank you so much, appreciate it. Okay, so once the customer sort of, we've gone through the eligibility determination, the customer has signed, yes, I'm going to participate in WIOA services. Now we're in what we're calling the goal setting and career plan development phase for the customer. So this is what the customer is experiencing here is there's a getting started assessment that they will complete with the career planner. They're going to complete the training assessment with the career planner. So these are pieces that the customer does not do by themselves, right? The customer is with a career planner. They're having a conversation. Responses are being entered into IWDS 2.0. The questions have been rewritten. This is where Sarah was talking about making sure the questions are right question at the right time. They've been rewritten in a strength-based way. They have been rewritten to be conversational and trust building and asset-based. So the shape of the conversation, the system itself is shaping the kind of conversation career planners want to be having with their customers. There may be some other assessments that the individual might need. Say they need to do a tape test. That's going to happen. There's going to be a place to trigger assessments that do not happen within IWDS 2.0 itself. And then there's going to be the development of the career plan. I feel like this needs a fifth step in here somewhere where there's the actual development of the goals, and then the customer signs the career plan in IWDS 2.0.
And I want to flag here that one of the goals from our state team that was kind of really top of mind was to automate as much as we could. So the responses from the pre-screen will pull through to the getting started assessment. So if you say in your pre-screen, I have trouble with transportation, in your getting started assessment, we're gonna dig deeper and figure out what we can do to support you. And then with your goals and things like that, we'll pull those through, and you'll just have to imagine a holding space that will help career planners populate the career plan based on all of the responses that they've had throughout all of the journey of their questions. So we're really pulling through important information so we can help career planners best they can populate that career plan. Okay. And again, like Gina said, if you have questions or things like that, let us know.
So once the customer has signed off on the career plan, now we're in a phase of the customer journey that should look pretty consistent with what's happening now in your local areas. So the career plan itself is going to feel different for career planners. It's going to become, each local area is doing that a little bit differently. It's going to become more consistent. It's going to be built into the system. But once the career plan is signed off on, now things are going to look pretty similar, I think, to what's happening now. So the customer is going to participate in whatever services, they're going to work on whatever goals they identified. They're going to be checking in with the career planner. There's going to be policies in place about how often the career planner needs to update case notes. There'll be some triggers inside IWDS that make it easier for career planners to do that. Career planners and customers will be addressing challenges as they arise, right? Troubleshooting that transportation problem, helping that person persist through their training, making additional referrals as necessary. Anytime the career plan has substantive changes, I believe there's a few kinds of changes that might be made just by the career planner, but if there's substantive changes, then the customer needs to sign off on that. Also, and this is new in IWDS 2.0, the customer can log in and see their career plan at any time. So they can log in, they can be reminded about the goals they're working towards, they can be reminded about what's in that career plan. So there's pieces of that are sort of customer facing.
When you said when they are available to sign in and see the career advisor at any time, can you be a little bit more detailed? Are you saying, I just want to make sure, because I could just hear the career advisor, well, I'm not available. How can they could just get a hold of me automatically? Is when you say that, define that a little bit so I'm clear.
I don't think anything is changing. I don't think anything about the adoption of IWDS 2.0 is changing how customers interact with their career planner once they're in services. So they will continue to connect in the way that they're currently connecting with their career planner once they have started their services. Does that make sense?
Okay. So I know my career advisors, sometimes customers, and they always tell me how sometimes they get email at nighttime and stuff about they're asking the career advisor. Sometimes my career advisor may answer, and I say that's not a very good practice. You're not working hours. Stay focused within your time frame when you're working. Would there be a cutoff where the customer can not just go in there, or is this going to be open 24 hours a day?
So the customer can see their career plan at any time.
Okay.
But there's nothing. There's no new policy requiring different availability of career planners.
Yeah, Robert, we'll make sure that although the system, like all internet things, will stay open 24/7,
Right.
that career planners don't have the expectation of, responding to, and I think that we might be adding a messaging feature, responding to a message, let's say, in like 10 minutes or
Okay.
2 hours.
Okay,
It's
that
just
sounds good. Long the
yeah.
customer know that, hey, the career advisor going to, based on the time you initiate the question or your concern, the career advisor will get back to you the next business day or something like that. That would be great. I don't want customer to feel that as soon as they put in something, somebody got to answer them ASAP.
Yes.
Yeah, and actually, Kelly, if you could note that for the Thursday calls to make sure that there's some kind of prompt in the messaging that customers know working hours and things like that. And David, you've had your hand up for a while. So do you have a question?
Yes, I don't know if I'm jumping too far ahead. If I am, just tell me to sit down. I'm thinking about cases where there's additional speed bumps to getting approved for WIOA training. Truck driving, for example, our LWA has a screening process where the application has gone to a team of people to evaluate them. I don't know where that would fall in on this flow chart. That the idea, again, of certifying a file before they've been assessed, that whole process is different this go around. I was thinking about a student who recently applied for a nursing degree, and the applicant isn't far enough along for us to fund them. We generally only fund the last 2 years of a bachelor's degree, for example. And so I don't know where that would fall in on this process. So I'll disengage for now and let you talk.
Okay. So I think you had a few questions there, and some of them get into local procedures that we're going to dig deeper in. But for a majority of this process, we'll be going to a standard kind of assessment procedure policy for customers. So that's going to be a shift. I'm not quite sure about the local ITA limit with the last 2 years of education. So I'm going to write that down and get with our policy person internally and see kind of where that overlaps with this new process. But we'll dig deeper into kind of pulling apart local procedures, David, and how they map to this as we move forward with this. So you'll have, the appropriate information to share with your local area or region, because I'm sure this is going to be different in a lot of your areas than what it currently is.
That's a great question. Okay, I'm just gonna keep moving so that we can get through the process. The last stage, completion and advocacy. Remember, this is the customer's journey, not the career planner's journey, right? So at this point, the customer is completing their training, earning their credentials, they're getting a job, they're arriving at a feeling of being done with their WIOA services. Maybe they're participating in success stories, they're following up with their career planner, maybe they've been exited from the system. Again, that's not usually, a customer's not usually thinking about exiting, but maybe they're experiencing now their 12-month follow-up. Maybe the career planner is checking in with them to support their retention on the job, and they're recommending their services to others. They are not interacting with IWDS 2.0 in this phase of their journey. So that is the end of the full customer map. I think this was really helpful. I'm glad we could talk through it and get your reactions to it. I want to pause here and get a sense of you now that we've sort of walked through the first one time through this journey. What is your sense of this visual as a tool to help you understand the customer experience and how they are interacting with IWDS 2.0? Was this helpful to you?
Yeah, I mean, as I indicated in the chat earlier, I like this. The dots, the interaction of the main phases and the arrows, and then showing then the flow of customer correspondence, customer interaction, and engagement with the customer. So I think this will be good at some point, maybe not in the draft phase, although I mean, for a rough draft, this is nicer than some stuff that I put out that in my final product. So don't be too hard on yourself. But at some point, these I think will be helpful to even for those of us that are not maybe official trainers, but still, to get the staff prepared for their official, when the actual training on the system itself commences, again, putting kind of like when you say, you've seen someone in email correspondence like, oh, it's nice to put a face with the name, so it's kind of the similar thing. It's nice to put like the flow and the sequence with the terms that we've been using and talking about and prepping them for, the new system on the technical side, so yeah, I think this could be helpful at sort of, getting that mindset, not changed, maybe just adapted, let's say, because I'm sure a lot of areas do a lot of these things in general, like, but in our own in-house kind of way, without having, with the current IWDS doesn't require a lot of it. So just getting them prepared more for that, for adapting to, the new system.
Yeah. Thanks, Rory. David, you have your hand up again?
Just to piggyback on my last comment. So if you look at the sign, the career plan red dot there, at some point, most local areas have some kind of supervisory overseeing of the career plan and making some determination if this plan is going to be doable. And I think that might need to be clarified to the customer, that it's not just sometimes the career planner and the customer making a decision to the plan, that there's often a supervisor or a committee that is making a decision of who can move forward with funding for WIOA training. And sometimes there's no funding available. They're eligible and they're a good candidate, but there's no funding available.
Yeah, that's a really good point. David, I made a note about that. And also, I think this might be I think my next slide. Oh, did I not include it? Okay, so my next project after tidying this up is to do a similar thing for career planners, right? So, we looked last week, I changed the color scheme a little bit, but we looked last week at what the career planner workflow looks like. The phases have not changed. I just changed the color scheme a bit. But there it is. So I will do a journey map like this, but this central journey will be the career planner workflow. And there we'll be able to get into a lot more detail about, like, oh, you need to look this up in the system. Oh, here is where you're going to connect with your supervisor. We'll also be able to add in that level of detail and talk about how you explain to the customer what's happening there.
I think that would be great, because at least in this initial train the trainer stage, the career planner is the customer. Ultimately, we know it's the applicant coming from outside, but as being a trainer, I know that the career planners are my customers to get this process started.
Yeah, so we will, there's the career planner version of this journey map is more sensitive to finer design decisions that are still being made about IWDS 2.0. But once we get a few more of those kind of key decision points in, then we'll have one of these. And when you train, you'll have one of these specifically for the career planners. Right, exactly, Sandy. So for youth, right? So we'll make it clear, right? And now, if it's a youth situation, here's a set of decisions that maybe need to be made. All right, I'm gonna keep moving if that's okay, unless anybody has more sort of big picture comments about the journey map. Okay. So yeah, we'll signal when we do the career planner map, if there's a point where it is statewide policy that some other entity, like a youth supervisor, is going to certify something, we'll try to like flag that in there. Okay, how are we going to support a seamless transition to July? It's the question we're all asking ourselves all the time. So I wanted to provide, AIR is helping to develop the training materials for career planners and supporting you. I wanted to sort of tell the story about how the system as a whole is going to be supported in making a transition to July, right? So on July 1st, IWDS 1 is going to go to bed. IWDS 2.0 is going to pop up. All the data will have been migrated in there, and we're going to start using this new case management system. And how are we going to make that a happy and exciting day and not a terrifying day? This is the plan. So DCEO is going to do targeted communication and support for key stakeholders who are all going to experience this slightly differently, right? So what do the local workforce area and local workforce board leaders and sort of policy level and supervisory staff need to know? What about the partner programs, the AJC operators, frontline staff who work at AJCs who might not be WIOA Title I employees, the career planners, which is where you're coming in a big way, other IWDS 2.0 users, so like the person who pulls the performance reports or who enters the ETPL data, the customers themselves, the training providers. There's going to be targeted communication and support for all of these people. And if you can think of someone else who isn't in this list, put it in the chat. They will also be supported. Each audience is going to get communications that are specific to them, that are going to explain, what is this transition? Why is it happening now? What are the expected benefits of it? What are the specific changes they are going to experience because of where they sit within the system and the key milestone dates they need to know about as those changes unfold? What are the specific actions and timelines they need to follow for their role to support the transition? What is all the training and support available to help them, and where do they go for help? Probably most importantly, maybe we'll put that one first. And then there's going to be all these training and resources, again, that will be available for specific audiences. So desk aids, that means the how-to sheet for how to do a very specific thing in IWDS 2.0, virtual and in-person training, resource guides, role-specific FAQs. There's going to be a lot of office hours, some of which you are going to be running. There is going to be IWDS 2.0 hypercare, which just sounds very supportive, but will be like the very available and very thorough technical support for IWDS 2.0. And then, of course, you all as regional trainers. Hypercare, this is provided by the workNet team who is developing IWDS 2.0. So let's look at what the career planner support specifically is going to look like. What about non-WIOA programs that use the current platform for data entry? Will they be included? Yeah.
Yes. Follow up with a little bit more information. They'll be included for sure in the information that we roll out. But if you could be more specific, I can, in your reply, like a JTED provider, a CJA or something like that.
Exactly, like a CJA or a program that's connected to like a dislocated worker, like a Quest, even though it's over, things like that.
Yeah. We'll make sure that all of the providers have access to this transition, and then kind of like the goal of what those different platforms look like, and not 2.0, but maybe like 3.7 or whichever upgrade.
Okay.
And we're also talking about that internally with
Okay.
our team to figure out who can kind of spread the word to the right people and make sure. But you'll also have feedback to making sure that the audiences that we have are inclusive to the people who need to know. So we'll make sure that's added as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good. Thanks, Cassie. Okay, I'm going to keep going. This is by no means the last time you're going to see all of this, right? We're deep into the kind of content that we're going to be looking at together quite a bit. So what training are career planners going to get? They are going to get about this number, 12 is not set in stone, but they're going to get a number of hours of virtual state-led training in around the May timeframe where everyone's going to hear the exact same thing. That's going to lay the groundwork. This is sort of mirroring what you're going to experience too, right? So they're going to get an announcement about the transition and the training approach. They're going to get a refresher on customer-centered service delivery. There will be refreshers available as WIOA Wednesdays around the core programs in case there are newer case managers who just need to like do some of the fundamentals. There'll be an introduction to customer-centered case management and IWDS 2.0. And then there'll be a deep dive individual sessions on some key components of the career planner workflow that are changing the most. So what's the self-service portal? What does intake and eligibility look like? What is this assessment process? How are we developing this universal career plan? How are we using the referral system? So this will be consistent training that everybody will get in a virtual setting before they come to you for in-person training. Then there's going to be 16 hours of in-person training that's going to be led by you. The idea is that you are training in relatively small cohorts, I believe of about 20. So you may be delivering, depending on your region, you might be delivering this training multiple times, right? But it's 16, the career planner is getting 16 hours of training. Day 1 is the foundation. Day 2 is system mastery and integration. This is the draft agenda. You know, I'm saying it here in this meeting, so it's a draft, but the idea is that day 1 looks at some core principles of customer-centered service delivery, case management workflow overview, like what does our job look like now? Some deep dives into these individual components of the workflow where now you're doing some scenarios, right? You're interacting with the system. You're talking through some of the nuances here. This will be very interactive. You'll work through the pieces of the workflow that are changing a lot because of IWDS 2.0. And then on day 2, it's about system mastery. So it's about hands-on navigation of IWDS 2.0, looking exactly at how the phases of the career planner workflow integrates with the system. There'll be some personas, and everybody will be moving persona customers through IWDS 2.0, entering the data, troubleshooting, getting help, time for group reflection and discussion. There'll be a whole hour where you just talk about if things go wrong, what do we do? How do we troubleshoot? How do we escalate? How do we solve problems in real time? And then on day 2 in the afternoon, we'll be back again doing personas and just moving through the system. So that's what the career planner in-person training is looking like, but we're going to refine it together, right? You all are going to provide some feedback. We're going to adjust this agenda until we all feel like it's going to be really effective. Yes, I have. We can send a link to Word versions of the things that we're talking about. Cassie, I think you're asking, and then the PowerPoint. So how are you going to deliver this with confidence and aplomb? We're going to give you everything you need, right? So we're going to give you the draft emails for logistic communication so that we're kind of communicating in a consistent way with career planners. You're going to have the agenda for training. You're going to have all the slides. You're going to have all the handouts for any group activities or discussions or scenarios. You're going to have a training toolkit that's going to give you the full script for training, the timing cues, facilitation tips, everything you need to make each beat of the training successful, and then session feedback forms that you'll use to gather feedback. And if you think of something else that would help you be successful, we can talk about what that looks like and how we can support you. So to help you do that, you're going to walk through a process that looks really similar to what career planners are going to walk through just ahead of time together, right? So you're going to know the customer workflow. You're going to know the career planner workflow. You're going to know each 2.0 module, why it's there, how to use it, how it supports a customer-centered service delivery practice. And you're going to know how to train and facilitate everybody. And you're working right along with workNet to design the system. So you're going to have some unique insights into how the system works because you're there during the development of it as well. One thing that we're going to ask you to hold intention in your brain over the next couple of months is these Tuesday calls and the Thursday calls. On your Thursday calls with Olivia and Al and the local discovery group, you are helping to build the system. So that's what's happening on Thursdays. On Tuesdays with us, like today, you're preparing to train. So the topic that you're covering on Thursday, it might be totally different from the topic that we're covering over here on Tuesday, right? Because the development timeline is its own beast. So we just ask you to kind of hold those things in tension and bring your trainer brain on Tuesdays and bring your local area development brain with you on Thursdays. Does that make sense? Okay, so now I'm going to show you a different amazing chart. This is your learning pathway of the Tuesday calls and in-person events that are going to get you from today to confidently delivering training to your local area career planners. Each one of these boxes is one of our Tuesday meetings or an in-person meeting. And you can see that I flagged when we have topics that align with the career planner workflow, I flag them. These shapes in here are things that are happening outside of our Tuesday meetings, but that have relevance to you. So like today, we're talking about the career planner workflow. Or last week, we talked about the career planner workflow. Today, we gave you this like big picture approach to training and support. Next week, when we get together, we're going to talk about the logistics of your responsibilities for scheduling training. But also next week, DCEO is going to be briefing your local workforce area leadership. So they're going to be getting this big picture that you have gotten contextualized to them here. So at that point, there's going to be a bunch of things that you can then confidently discuss with them because they're going to have heard the same things that we're talking to you about, and they'll hear from DCEO. Okay, so then the 27th, we'll talk about scheduling. On the 3rd of February, we'll talk about how to communicate with the career planners and sort of what that cadence of the communication will look like so that we can be consistent about that. Somewhere after that, the career planners will get a statewide briefing on the rollout of IWDS 2.0. So then you'll be confident that everyone in the system has heard that baseline of information. Then we're going to move in February. We're going to start again here on our Tuesday calls doing the deep dives into components of IWDS 2.0. So we'll start with the customer self-service portal, which is sort of in the intake phase. Then we'll talk about intake and eligibility. We'll talk about the assessment process. We'll talk about the career plan development process. We'll talk about the referral system. That's going to take us through to March. We're going to announce local career planner training dates way before March, so I'm going to move the circle. Then that sort of wraps up the IWDS module topical training that we'll do together on Tuesdays. Then we're going to move into some professional development topics to support you as a trainer. So we'll have a session where we talk about leading through change and all the different ways all of our career planners are going to respond to this change and how we can support them. There'll be a session on public speaking and facilitation and adult learning strategies. There'll be a session on Zoom skills and doodle polls for any virtual work that you need to do to support your region. Then on the April 6th and 7th, you'll get some virtual IWDS 2.0 user training. So this will be your first focused session on like setting up your account and accessing the system like as a career planner will. In-person end-to-end IWDS 2.0 training is the 15th through 17th of April in Bloomington. Is that right, Sarah? Yeah, in Bloomington. April 20th through 22nd, we'll have the in-person trainer boot camp. I'll be there. We'll be going through the Train the Trainer toolkit and giving you all the practice that you need to feel confident delivering the training. At the Illinois Workforce Summit, there'll be a one-day session on the 5th of May where you all will be together to sort of cover any last-minute topics before you dive into your regional trainings. And somewhere around there, the Career Planner virtual training series will start. And then we'll be in May and June, which will largely be where you will be delivering training, but we'll continue the Tuesday calls to support you. We'll clean up a couple of additional topics. We'll be doing a lot of the transition training in here, and then we have the go live date of July 1st. So, Toriana.
I just had a question since you talked about it, about the Illinois Summit. So, like in my local area, my director's kind of like registering for that now, and he kind of asked me if I wanted him to get me registered, and I knew I saw this coming up. So, do we need to kind of go ahead and just kind of register ourselves for that and do our normal process, knowing that we need to attend?
Yes.
And then can we include that cost? I don't know if that's a question here or not in our trainer budget or no, as a part of the Career Academy grant.
I believe so, Tori, but I'll ask John. I also want to flag that you might be presenters in some of these. We're gonna workshop that, right, Gina? Like who's presenting what during the summit. So let me ask John about that.
Okay. And
Fiscal
so do we
question.
register as presenter or do we register as there's different levels? Well, in person, obviously level 1, and then there's a presenter.
Gina,
Why
do
don't
you have
we
any thoughts on
follow
that?
up with some specific instructions about that?
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Just so you all know, we're finalizing these in-person dates kind of ongoing right now. And I'm going to send like one email that says like, these are the in-person dates, these are the registration dates. So you all have them in one place and then are able to register from one area. And Sandy, we'll make sure whatever final information is sent out, it has the correct dates, but the 15th and 16th does sound right. But I know we only have 1 minute left. So Gina, if there's anything else you want to cover?
No, that's it. Next week, we're going to talk about logistics for scheduling career planner training. Don't worry about what's on this slide. That's what we'll talk about next week. Take no action on this at this time. We will give you specific instructions next week.
And I just checked and it is the 15th and 16th, Sandy. So we'll update that slide. Okay, we're 1 minute out. Does anybody have any questions? Before we hop off, are you feeling good for a Tuesday back from a vacation? Okay. Have one lonesome thumbs up. That works for me. Okay, you have any questions? Email us. Oh, an explosion of thumbs up. Fantastic. Email us and we'll be in contact here with some logistic things. But thanks everyone, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.